right, Claire and I are going to start out here in Dollywood. This is going to be her first time riding the Smoky Mountain River Rampage. I remember it being a big deal in the 90s when I was a kid. I guess the late 80s, early to mid 90s when I was a kid and a teenager, coming and riding this one. This was one of the cool rides to ride and get wet and splashed on. This is her first time riding it. She was kind of nervous this first time, but she ended up loving it. I believe this trip to Dollywood, we ended up riding it 7 times, I think. She ended up liking it that much. It's now one of her favorite rides. So we're going to ride it and do a few other things here in Dollywood before we head over into Knoxville. It's pretty well known that Dollywood was Silver Dollar City before it became Dollywood, and it opened up in '86. When it reopened that year for the season, it reopened as Dollywood. And this whole area, Rivertown Junction, was new that year, and this was the big ride. It was brand new for the first season of Dollywood, actually being open as Dollywood instead of Silver Dollar City. Claire ended up loving the River Rampage. Like I said, I think we rode it 7 times. Sometimes you get soaked, sometimes you can ride it and not get very wet at all. We'll move from there to the Scrambler. This is in the country fair part of the park. Claire likes it too. There's almost every ride here she likes. This is, if it's not her favorite, it's up there. There she is. Usually we ride it together, but she wanted me to record her, so she gave it a go this time by herself. Kind of like the River Rampage was new for the opening of the '86 season, this part, the country fair, was new for the '93 season. And the Scrambler was one of the original rides that was in the country fair. They've added more and taken out some. There used to be a Ferris wheel. It's gone now, but there's a lot of newer stuff here. This is another one of her favorites. It's their version of the teacups. She really likes the Mad Hatter's Tea Party at Disney World, and she ended up really liking this one too. The lemon twist is what they call it here at Dollywood. She likes to spin around pretty fast on it. Usually we ride it together too, but she wanted me to film her on it like she was on the Scrambler. And then we're going to move on. Actually, Claire's ditched me for the rest of this one, but going to move on to Knoxville and do some exploring there and checking some stuff out. It's a cool place. It's about the right size city to get around in pretty easy. And just going to check out some stuff here. There's a lot of history in Knoxville. Starting here at this old cemetery. Not got the significance of some other big city cemeteries, but it's a cool, real old cemetery with a lot of Knoxville history anyway. And then there's this Alex Haley statue here that we're going to check out. He was an author that lived here in Knoxville. He wasn't from Knoxville, but he ended up moving here and living here, I believe. He's the one that he wrote Roots. He was famous for writing Roots. So we're going to check out his statue and see what else we can find while we're here in Knoxville. I think most people probably know the story and the history of Roots. It's came out, the book came out in '76, and then just a year later, '77, when the miniseries came out with LeVar Burton. I think there was a few sequel series to it and then a remake a few years back, maybe 2016 or so, on the History Channel. But it was a pretty big deal. And the original miniseries and at least some of the sequel series afterwards were kind of the jumping off point of LeVar Burton. We're going to move from there. Some railroad history here. It's just a cool look here. I guess an old railroad depot. But we're going to go down the tracks just a little bit to this old abandoned tunnel that we found. don't know any history of it. There's some local lore anyway that they used to do hangings here, but I don't know how true that is. I'm guessing it's probably just some local made-up stories, but it was a cool tunnel to check out. Cool graffiti in it, kind of a bunch of muddy, sludgy slime on the ground inside, but cool to walk through anyway. We walked all the way through. So we're finished here at the tunnel. Actually going to head not too far, a couple miles over down the road to I guess really what people think of when they think of Knoxville, the middle of the city there for the World's Fair Park. So the 1982 World's Fair was here. Here's kind of the symbol of the World's Fair, the Sunsphere. We'll go see the actual Sunsphere here in a little bit. Came to it years ago, and we're going to go see this thing that was here at the World's Fair too, the world's largest Rubik's Cube. The last time I was here, this Rubik's Cube was over at a hotel. It's now been moved to the Civic Center here, the Knoxville Civic Center, but it was originally part of the 82 World's Fair. It used to move. I don't think it ever, I don't know if that works anymore. I don't think it ever moves anymore, but it's still considered, I guess, the world's largest Rubik's Cube. I think Erno Rubik, he was the inventor. I think he was here for the 82 World's Fair. He was from Hungary, and this was Hungary's submission to the World's Fair. It was a real big deal, the Rubik's Cube was. 82 was kind of the height there, probably before it started to decline a little bit, at least in the U.S. It came back in a big way, but there was a cartoon based around it, TV show, the World Championships, Rubik's Cube World Championships, I believe, were held in 82, and they weren't held again for 20 years, I think early 2000s. But they're still here at the area in the World's Fair Park. We're going to mess around here a little bit and kind of see the top there of the amphitheater, which was here back in the day and still here. But the main thing that's still here today, from it's kind of the symbol of the World's Fair 82, was this right here, the Sunsphere. So we'll go up there in just a minute and check it out. It was closed there for several years due to COVID. You used to be able to just come, go up whenever, hit the elevator button, and just go on up. Now it's only open certain hours, but it's a lot better than it was. Used to, you just go up, there was nothing up there, just walk around, view Knoxville, which was cool. But now there's some history up there. It's almost like a little museum to the World's Fair, the 82 World's Fair. So it's a lot cooler now. It costs like $5, so it's dirt cheap to go up. It's really worth it. It's featured on an episode of The Simpsons too. So The Simpsons came, and it had been turned into a wig store, the Wig Sphere, and they ended up knocking it down. But kind of see, this is we're up there now. They got Pac-Man here, which was cool. Just tying back to the 80s sort of feel, which was when this was all built. But we're gonna check out Knoxville. Of course, it's not as impressive of a view as some city views, but it's still a cool view up here from the Sunsphere. I was talking about with kind of turning into more of a museum type feel up here these days. None of this was up here the last time I was here. It's really cool to see what it looked like here while the World's Fair was going on. Some of the original ads and pictures and photographs. It's just real cool. Some of the old posters. I'd never seen any of this stuff. And then they've got some of the actual items like souvenirs you would have bought back then. The cans of beer down there. I've actually got a can of that beer. I bought it in an antique store years ago. But this was just a lot cooler than what it used to be. None of this stuff was here when I was here last, which was probably 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. But real cool to go up there. There it is, kind of in the distance. But that's it. We're going to head on out of here and see what else we can get into.